Thank you for coming. Okay, a few notices here from Victoria Police. As some of you may be aware, we've actually been able to get some signage, new signage in place from the New South Wales border, right down through here to Mallacoota. I think they've just about finalised the last signage. Just from a safety perspective, they've dropped the road speed. Again, it's purely just for safety. It will slow things down for those retrieving assets and coming back into their houses, but safety's got to be paramount. You'll notice over the next few days I've been able to get some more resources in town, so there'll be a larger police presence. I'll have some dedicated foot patrols in the caravan park and in town, so you'll see some new faces in town. Say good day to them and ask them any questions you like. We're pretty much transitioning back to business as usual, and so are a lot of the other agencies. So you may, and this is an important note, it was raised earlier today, one of our units activated their sirens, and as you can understand, a couple of people got a little bit jittery and raised some tension. So we are back to business, so some units will be pulling cars over, especially coming this weekend. You may hear sirens. The sirens aren't in regards, just to clarify, aren't in regards to fire or any fire-related incidences. They are business as usual for police activating their emergency warnings. So I'll just make that clear. There is, I think Eva would like from the East Gippsland Shire Council would like to say a few things.
Hi everybody. I actually just wanted to introduce you to Wayne Richards over to my right. Wayne, thank you. I'm going out for a little while. My son's starting high school, so I've got to go and be a mummy. And Wayne's stepping in for all council matters. So please have a chat with Wayne, and he's coming in to support you. So please feel free to talk to him about any issues or concerns or positive feedback, anything that you've got. Do you want me to introduce Bob now? Is that now or later?
We just have a few things to discuss, and Eva will introduce that a little bit later. Just to clarify, those sirens, and I've just been made aware, those sirens initially were to assemble at the beach. If you do hear them, and I've instructed my people, let's avoid that if we can. They will be just our normal intercept sirens pulling a car over. So that'll only last for a few seconds if you do hear them, and it'll be quite distinctively different. Reports by exception, I think Gary, you would like to say something?
Yeah, absolutely. Just to back up that statement about the siren, you might hear the ambulance and the fire brigade as well. So business as usual, back to normal for use for the sirens. So you might have seen a bit of fire brigade update. So you might have seen we've got a bit of smoke coming off towards Marshmead. So that smoke's come about with the increased wind. We've just seen a bit more fire intensity. It's what we've known about, part of our plan to work on that space out there. So we've got crews out there. We've got 20 good guys and girls that have come down from Port Phillip, so they're giving us a hand. They're dovetailing in with some teams out of New South Wales to tidy up that area around Marshmead. They're doing some work with plant and slip-ons and lots of arms and legs to protect the school, really important, and also try and subdue the fire. And you will see a bit of smoke over the next few days as we just try and build control lines around that fire and keep it under control. The bulletin. So we've been getting the bulletin every day. It's been put out. So at the moment we're just going to transition across to the bulletin being put out when there's things have changed. So they'll be a bit more infrequent as to how often they're updated. Just obviously we're getting a lot of the same information coming through. So instead of killing all those trees and having a lot of the same words, we're just trying to be more effective with our message so our message doesn't get lost. So obviously we talked about having Wayne in town. You'll see a little bit of change as to who leads some of these meetings over time. That'll occur. Council is the lead in recovery, so you will see some of that activity go on, which is going to be perfectly normal. And I think we're doing 60k an hour speed limits up towards Genoa and out towards the border. That's probably something we all should try and keep in mind, and that's really to encourage a lot of our non-local people to drive sensibly, because the road conditions and the rails and whatever aren't quite 100%. So if we can lead by example as a community, that'd be really good. That's about me wrapped up. Anyone got any questions for Fire Brigade? Yes, sir.
Concerning the road from Genoa to Canberra River, do you know if the crews are working over the long weekend?
I believe there may be opportunities for that section of road to get opened up over the weekend. So if it does get opened up, I wouldn't expect to see too many crews on the road because it'll be a little bit dangerous. We'll have to play that by ear, and it really reminds us all to make sure we adhere to those speed limits, because there are people out there working. We're going to have that continuing for a fair while, getting that road back up to highway standard. So make sure you drive safely and consider that around that bend there may be a crew of people working. All right? Yes?
Does that mean that somebody can leave here and go to Melbourne over the weekend, maybe?
Potentially. So it's going to be opened up potentially. You'll have to wait for the official information, because it's all dependent on the weather and how effective the work that's being done is completed. But that opportunity may arise. Keep in mind that drive back to Orbost is going to be at 60 k's an hour. So whatever time you normally take to get to Orbost, you can pretty much double that. All right, so keep that in mind. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
What would be the best place to find the notification when that decision is being made?
Please repeat the question.
Very good question. So the question then was, how will we find out the information when the road is opened up? And the answer is you have to go on to the Bushfire recovery page, and they've got the Victorian government's got a page. We put in Bushfire recovery. There's information up to date as these release notes put out. Yes, sir.
Could you have that announcement put over the local radio?
At the moment, we are able to do things like that. But again, I would like to point you towards a primary source of information. We always endeavour to make sure we get the information out, but the most up-to-date information is available within the official route. Excellent. Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks, Gary. Before I forget, just to reconfirm, these meetings are now every second day, and I think today's Thursday. Correct me if I'm wrong. So the next meeting will be Saturday. We have a representative from the Insurance Council, Claire. Would you like to just come up and say a few words? Thanks, Claire.
Hi everyone, I'm Claire from the Insurance Council, and you may have seen when you walked in today a little insurance set up at the back. We have now established an insurance hub for affected policyholders to lodge their claims. We will be here for over the next week from 12 till 5 p.m. If you have any queries and your insurer is not here, you can come and see myself or my colleague that may be here early next week, and we can speak with your insurer on your behalf to get the process rolling for you, as we do understand it has been very difficult to gain access to this area and to your properties as well. If you want to come see me afterwards, I can give you our catastrophe hotline number and give you a pamphlet in terms of what to do in this stage of recovery. Does anyone have any questions? Okay.
Thanks, Claire. We also have a representative today from the Victorian Council of Churches, Michelle, if you could please say a few things. Thank you.
Thanks, John. Yes, my name's Michelle and I'm with the Victorian Council of Churches Emergency Ministries. So the team that I've come in with, we've flown in today. But first of all, I just wanted to say a huge thank you on behalf of the team that was in before we've come. They were welcomed so warmly into your community, and it was, they just really appreciated that. But we'll be around town, and we'd love love to meet you. We'd love to meet you. We'd love to have a cup of tea or coffee or just whatever works for you. Please just come up and say hello. Or if you know anyone else who would like to come and talk, that's what we're here for. So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Before I throw back over to Eva for some finals, any other agencies, any reports by exception? Anybody got anything for the meeting? All quiet? Good. Okay, Eva? You want to
Hi everyone. Some of you might have had the pleasure to be at MDHSS yesterday, where Rob Gordon just spoke to the community about his area of expertise, which is disaster trauma recovery. And I'd like to introduce Rob to come and have a quick chat with you now, and he'll tell you about a session that he's having up at MDHSS after this meeting. So please welcome Rob Gordon.
Thanks, Eve, and hello everyone. I've been working with communities since Ash Wednesday in 1983, and often visiting communities over their recovery period over a number of years. I visited many of the Black Saturday communities 4 or 5 years later, worked with them throughout that time. And I just want to share with you just a few basic observations about what happens to communities, or we could say what happens to social systems of any size. I used to teach these ideas in the Emergency Management Institute when it used to be in Mount Macedon. And I often had people, when I finished my presentation, come up and say, that's exactly what happened in my workplace when somebody had a heart attack and died in the office floor. Or that's exactly what happened in my family when we had a terrible trauma. Because when we have a trauma, we fall out of the normal social structure that we live in day by day. We don't realise what that social structure is, because as long as it works, it's automatic. Like your left knee. Right? You don't think about your left knee when it's working, but I had a very sore knee a couple of years ago, and every time I moved, I became aware of my knee. See, so the structures suddenly keep coming into your awareness. As long as they work, you're not aware of them. We don't know what social structures we need to support us. One of the main things that a stable social structure does is offers us security. Security is the antidote of anxiety. When security goes, we start to feel anxious. We don't know quite what about, we feel uneasy. So in the period immediately after the event, I mean, while the event's happening, you're on about survival and not getting burned and whatever, and that's all very clear cut. But in the aftermath like this, you've got this tremendous period of uncertainty where all the normal systems are no longer working. Everyone's improvising. And it's interesting, this is the right moment to be having this conversation at the point where you're about to get back to business as usual. The police are going to book you for speeding and parking in the wrong place and so on. And there is that transition. Now, what we actually find is that as this transition occurs to business as usual, people come out of it with this tremendous sense of we've been through something together. We've had this really strong experience, and you get this fantastic mutual support and care and volunteering and people throwing open their homes and being generous and whatever. And the problem is that that's based on the idea that we've been through the same thing. But the reality is everyone has had a different disaster. Everyone has had a different impact. And I've worked with people for years after this sort of event. And what you find is that nobody will know on the outside why somebody is so deeply affected on the inside. It's not directly related to what happened to you physically. It's much more complicated. And if you want to know more about that, come But what happens is that as time passes, the different effects start to show up. And if we stay in that stress mode, we are involved in surviving the fire, we're in a very clear-cut, simple frame of mind which sees things in an oversimplified way. If you lost your house, you've got a problem. If you didn't lose your house, you haven't got a problem, sort of thing. And with the best will in the world, we fall into that way. And what I notice is that around about now, as we sort of go ahead over the next few weeks, there's a tendency for people to express that anxiety, the inevitable frustrations that the system can't move fast enough, it can't be sensitive enough, can't be finely tuned. It happens in every single disaster. And that frustration combined with the anxiety tends to make people on edge, frustrated, angry, judgmental. And what inevitably happens is that actually comes out as conflict in the community, as people saying tactless things. If you say something tactless to somebody who's in their normal structure, they've got a skin on them, and it bounces off. But everyone's lost their skin at the moment. You're skinless. When you touch someone without a skin, the touch is painful. There's a great capacity for people to hurt each other in the next period of time. And this next, I would say the next few months is a time when it's going to be really important to take care of each other and the community and try and suspend judgment. Give people the benefit of the doubt. Some people have told me that there's judgments about people taking stuff they're not entitled to. And people get angry about that. Well, I can tell you that in 1983, in order to get a payment, because you lost your house, you had to present your birth certificate, your marriage certificate, the title deeds to your house, and your insurance papers. Well, when they were told that they didn't have them, they got told, well, you'll have to get copies of them. So that was to make sure nobody rotted the system. And that meant it's almost impossible for the people who do deserve it to get it. So I remember clearly the debates in the late 80s that said, let's loosen it all up, let's trust people a lot more. Maybe a few people will rot the system, but we want to help the people that deserve. So don't worry about the people that are rotting the system. You won't get less because of them. And by the way, I remember when people were prosecuted for rotting the system after Black Saturday, and they were prosecuted. It took about 5 years, but they actually went to court. It's not your problem, don't worry about it. So try and not take on a lot of problems that you don't need to worry about. It's this heightened emotion that starts to stick to everything. Try to think that the best resource for recovery is the community, and the community consists of everybody. Everybody. There's been a lot of research that shows those communities that recover best and fastest and get back together and do economically better are those who have the best community systems, where they meet and talk and share their problems and make decisions and develop systems. But to do that, we've got to try and get over whatever kind of old, resentments we might carry from the past, and every community's got its issues. But we need a period of time over probably the next year or so to have a transitional social system where people come together, share their information, talk, and develop an idea for how you want your life and Mallacoota to be, because it probably can't go back to what it was. It can be a fantastic place, but it's going to be different. So let's make it different in a positive way and not just actually end up losing things. And to do that, we've got to take the initiative. And we have to do it together. And if the community's having these conversations, then you as members of the community have got an environment where you can talk about, well, maybe, what have I learned from it? Where do I want my life to go? That becomes a very important conversation if you think about building a new house. You want to be able to get the clarity in mind to think, how would I like it to be? Don't just simply try and get the same one back, because that's often very confusing for people later. So there's two pathways that go on. One is the pathway if people just don't really think about it, and that's conflict and disagreements and difficulties. I mean, everybody's skinless, and it's hurtful, and wounds and relationships are damaged. The other is we try and create this period of time where we work together and try to build structures that service what we need and draw people in, keep drawing people into the community, and try and foster something that means you end up with a community that's actually really learned something profound. We have this notion of post-traumatic growth nowadays. Psychologists are always good at looking what goes wrong, and then some of them realise actually some really profound things come out of an experience like this. But to get post-traumatic growth, you need one thing above all, and that is self-care, so that you feel supported and you've got the space to think and ask yourself what you've learned about it. And that's something that has to be fostered in the community. So I see a lot of evidence that people are working positively together here, and I'm sure you can actually do this. But probably you have to work through the same kind of issues that every other community I've been involved in has had to do that. So I wish you all well, and I look forward to visiting you every now and again and seeing how the journey goes. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Now, before I finish up, Eva shortly just has some information to pass on, something to share. Are there any questions from the floor for me regarding Victoria Police? Yes.
We talk so much about opening the highway and all this stuff, but I can't see that it gets open and traffic coming this way, traffic going this way. How will you control it? You know, someone says the highway is open, hooray. 500 people in Melbourne start their hire car and come up here.
So the question, to clarify, is how do we control it?
Yes.
Yes, we have traffic management points in place, and their role, among other things, is to vet people coming in and to glean the details from those people. That way we can keep some control of the people coming into the town and also those leaving. Does that answer your question?
No.
No? Okay.
Yeah, look, I just imagine ABC says the road is open and we believe them, and then they start to come one way. We want to help our family in Melbourne with their car, so we start, and then we have, you know, the 60 kilometres or...
Well, officially, the ABC can say what they like, and they do. Officially, the road is not open between Genoa and Cairn River. That's officially, it is not open. So if the ABC want to say that, they can, but from the government websites and all the information, and from me standing here, the road is not open. I don't know when it's going to open. Like yourself, I hear rumours, but the road is not open. That's the only way I can answer that, unfortunately. If the media want to say other things, and sometimes they do, that's an issue for them. Have I satisfied that?
Of course you're satisfied. It's just, you know, I imagine it that, you know, you say the road is open, but...
I know it's very frustrating.
But you have to tell us in which way we can regulate certain things. When it comes to the point.
Okay, I think with all the other agencies, and I think we have explained that. I think we've got plenty of information out there. And one of the other areas to alleviate that is me standing here and saying, are there any other questions, which you've just raised that. But I believe we have addressed those traffic issues. If there's plenty of information out there in regarding that westbound road that will open, I just don't know when. And I can't speculate, because I don't want to give any false, misleading hope to people. So as soon as I said the other meeting, as soon as I know, you'll know.
And there would be roadblocks too, wouldn't there, to stop people?
There are roadblocks, yes. We call them traffic management points. TMPs, I refer to them, just more language. They are in place 24/7 as they have been. And those members, you can approach them if you're out on the road and talk and ask them questions. If they can't answer those questions, they will call someone like me and I'll be able to give them the information.
If the road, when the road opens to the west, what categories of people would be allowed back into Mallacoota?
I can't answer that. That comes from my control centre. The question was what type of classification or people will be allowed back in once that road opens. Now, the normal process is to usually start, as I explained last time, I went through the A, B, C classification. It normally starts off pretty high and it works its way down. I can assume it'll start off in a C, but again, that decision's not for me. That's going to come out of the control centre when they have all that information in front of them and they make a proper informed decision regarding, and the condition of the road, etc., etc. They take a lot of information to make a decision. So I won't know, but you could safely, like the road at the moment heading northeast is C classification, restricted residents, etc.
There seems to be a bit of a void for the people that have registered to come back to collect their belongings. They aren't getting any information about whether they can come back through even, excluding the westbound road. They're being told no. They're being told that they're going to get sent SMSs to let them know, and those things just aren't happening.
Yeah, the question is the people coming back to collect their assets, the campers, etc., the holiday makers, like at the caravan park, are getting mixed signals or no signals. Yeah, no signals. That is an area, I just got off the phone literally before this meeting with some people in the control centre. They are trying to clear that up. They still require people to register with the PAL line, the police assistance line. If you dial that, I think option number 1 takes you straight to the Bushfire emergency section, and they want people to register with that. That way you're hooked into the system, and then they will contact you. In regards to collecting assets from holiday makers, I believe that information is about to come out just prior to the weekend, but I haven't been given any official word. I hope that answers that question.
It does. Yeah, they've been very frustrated by the lack of.
Yes, I agree.
Because it creates people just want to know what's going on.
I totally agree. And the conversation I had prior to the meeting, I did raise that, and I wanted that highlighted, and we need to clear that up ASAP.
Lastly, how are people that don't use computers and smartphones being kept in the loop?
My understanding of the question is, how are people who don't use the modern technology of smartphones, etc., are being kept in the loop? The information is put through. We have information officers at all our control centres. Their job is to disseminate that information to the various outlets, be it media, radio, television, social. That's their job, and I believe it is getting out. If someone can correct me if it's not, I'd like to know. But I do believe that information is broadcast on various levels and various mediums. Just a question here.
Are you aware that if you're near the New South Wales border, as we were in Wodonga, and you try to get onto that number, you are put through to New South Wales, not Victoria, and they cannot connect you to the Victorian Authority, and you go around in circles trying to get information.
Do you recall what number you dialed?
131444.
Yeah, there was another number.
Okay, I can talk to you after this meeting and clarify that, unless Eva, you've got something.
Yeah, that problem was identified early on, and a new number was given out for anybody calling into state. So that was a problem, but it was sorted out quite quickly, and a new number was given that connected straight through to Victoria.
This is only a couple of days ago.
Right, well, let's have a chat after this, and we'll...
I'll have a chat to you after this meeting and just clarify that and see if we can work that out. But as Eva said, she believes it was rectified. We'll work that out. So,
if a person could travel from New South Wales across the inlay to Cairn Valley Highway and down to Cairn River and then into Melbourne, would that be is that road still open for?
The question's regarding a certain travel route. You mentioned the inlay. I believe the inlay is still impacted and is not. There's not a thoroughfare the inlay. You can't. I don't think you can use it. That's my last understanding. So that would say to answer that, no. Yes, ma'am. Yes, that's correct. So that just confirmed that those roads are still yet to be worked on, I believe. They're concentrating, obviously, on the main arterials. Any other questions?
My view is no, I registered me and my friends who all came back today and lived in Melbourne around the Canberra. Registered, and not one of the checkpoints was the registration referred. No one seemed to care.
The registration you registered with?
Yeah, I registered with the one.
Yeah, the PAL line, yes. Did they take your details?
No.
We just showed them our driver's license, where we lived here, that's all.
Again, I'll talk to you after this meeting. There's something I need to clarify. Okay, all right. And when was this?
An hour ago? About 2 hours ago.
All right. I'll take that up. All right. That should not have been the case. But that's for me to sort out. I'll have a chat to you after this. Any other questions? Yes.
I'm sorry to go on that. Is the possible opening on the weekend of the road to the west, is that just for the weekend, do you know?
Don't know. Just raise my hand. Yes.
Just in response to the lady at the back about visitors getting notified, several of the people I know from down the camp park that left and registered have had text messages today from the Red Cross.
Okay, so people are getting the messages back from PAL. And yes, okay, yeah, that's good to hear.
It just says you'll be contacted today to confirm your interest and the details of your flight. So they registered to fly back.
So the PAL assistance line is ringing people back to get them back in to collect their assets. So that it is working. It looks like it's up and running now. Any other questions? Eva?
Could I just firstly thank both John and Gary, who've been working really hard to support the community. I think they're both leaving. I don't know whether we'll see them again tomorrow, so can you just help me in thanking both of them? I hope you don't mind. I just wanted to finish by reading a poem that was written by our beautiful Rosemary Hannah. I just thought it might be a nice way to end the meeting. People first is best, always. We are all in the same boat. Let us help each other to keep afloat throughout all of our days, to treat each other with respect and dignity, to encourage talent and ability, to celebrate and express gaiety, to be mindful and take responsibility, to do works of goodness and charity, to exercise patience and equality, to acknowledge our human nature, to take courage and be mature, to come to our full measure, to bring others kindness and pleasure, to extend understanding and a kind gesture, to see each other as a treasure, to live a life of simplicity, to maintain a position of humility, to accept differences and cultural diversity, to appreciate calm and serenity, to value people and tranquility, to work towards harmony and unity. People first is best, always. We are all in the same boat. Let us help each other keep afloat throughout all our days. By Rosemary. Sorry, don't forget the community barbecue on Sunday at the golf club starting at 1 o'clock. Thanks to the Lions and the golf club.
So as mentioned, I'm Wayne Richards from East Gippsland. Shire Council. I guess on behalf of Council, I really wanted to thank Eva for her time here. I believe Eva's been in this since about the 29th of December, and I think that poem sort of sums up her work here passion for the community. So I guess I just want to thank Eva on behalf of And I know that Eva will be back, but yeah, just as a short term.
Thank you. That concludes the meeting. Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Don.